Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Weber. Thanks to you and, of course, to Chairman Latta and Ranking Member Matsui for convening today's hearing to discuss the central role that the NTIA plays in spectrum management, as we were just discussing broadband deployment, which I have a few questions on, and developing other federal telecommunications and technology policy. Administrator Davidson, thank you so much for being here today and your very insightful and helpful discussion on these topics. This week in Washington, of course, we are recognizing National Police Week, and we honor and remember our law enforcement officers who are critical components of our public safety system. One of NTIA's many important responsibilities is supporting public safety communications, and that includes overseeing the First Responder Network Authority, or FirstNet. And since January of 2018, all 50 states and 6 territories have opted into FirstNet, and they use it to coordinate state and local law enforcement activities. I know Texas's 7th Congressional District that I have the privilege of representing is benefits from the nationwide public safety broadband network and has helped facilitate more effective crisis response, both from the COVID-19 pandemic and natural disasters and other challenges that we have experienced in recent years. So I want to ask you, Administrator Davidson, about the importance of reauthorizing FirstNet before its sunset in 2027. If you could share your thoughts with us on that would be helpful.
Thank you so much for that question. You know, FirstNet plays an incredibly important role because the needs of first responders to be able to communicate, our public safety workers to be able to communicate with each other, especially at a time of crisis, is so important. And in many ways, it's been an incredible success story. We have over 5.5 million first responders all around the country who are now using the FirstNet network, which is incredible for something that started less than 10 years ago, right? It is also really important that we make sure to reauthorize this program. And the authorization sunsets in 2027. We do not want to wait that long. We need to make sure that there's real good certainty for how the program can proceed. So this is something that Congress can really help us with, ensuring that this program's on firm footing going forward. And the only other thing I'd say is, you know, when there's a bad day somewhere in America, FirstNet is there today. And they prepare for big events. They prepare for the worst. They're there in hurricanes, fires, all sorts of situations. Our first responders rely on them. We need to make sure that network is sustained. So thank you for your support.
Well, thank you so much. And I do want to note for my colleagues on the committee that I have a bill. My bill is the FirstNet Reauthorization Act, and it would reauthorize this program and strike the original sunset provisions. So I look forward to working with members of the committee on this topic. Many of my colleagues today have also focused their questions on the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, the BEAD program, the success of which is reliant on efficient and responsive permitting. Right. So this is another area where I have a bill that I'd love to ask you a little bit about, because I really applaud the agency for its recent announcement to help make federal permitting smoother for BEAD broadband deployment. My concern, however, has been the long potential permitting backlogs and bottlenecks at the local level. And so one of the things I noted, I think just last month, the Pew Charitable Trust found in a survey of 36 states that local permitting is a key concern and potential barrier to deployment. And I know we talk about permitting reform in a lot of contexts on this committee, but it certainly seems to be an issue here. Part of the concern is that some of the smaller and more rural communities just don't have the infrastructure, the personnel to do the permitting, you know, whether it's sort of workforce and expertise challenges to move these deployments quickly. And so my bill, the Broadband Incentives for Communities Act, would help address that, giving communities a grant program and tools that they need to be able to prevent and address these bottlenecks. So can you talk a little bit about, with the 30 seconds you have left, what you're doing to work with local governments to ensure that they're ready for the increased applications and how we can help facilitate that from Congress?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right to highlight this as an issue. Permitting is a giant concern for us, especially because we're going to have a large burst of projects that are going to come through in the next few years, and we want to make sure that we can get them through the permitting process in a timely way. It's something we've heard a lot about. We're doing a ton at the federal level. The local level is really important. We've required states in their broadband plans to show how they're addressing the state and local permitting issues. More resources at the local level would certainly help quite a bit. So thank you for your leadership on this issue and for putting a spotlight on it. It's going to be really important to our success.
Thank you so much, Administrator Davidson. I have a couple of questions I couldn't get to, so I will submit them for the record and yield back. Thank you.
Thank you.